Imagine this. Martil, Morocco. A nice house, comfortable, built up over 30 years of marriage, hard work.
Yeah, a seemingly normal life.
You've got Azzouz, the husband, a decorator turned successful contractor. He's providing well for his wife, Radia, and their 3 kids, Sherif, Bassina, and Siam.
A picture of prosperity, really. Respectable family.
30 years building this foundation. But that foundation, that very picture of stability, it became the perfect place to hide something truly terrible.
And that's what we're exploring today. We're trying to trace the steps, the sheer calculation involved in an 11-year deception.
It wasn't a sudden crime, was it?
No, not at all. This was sustained malice hidden in plain sight. It's about analyzing the chilling intelligence of a woman who used grief, public sympathy, everything to keep dark secrets buried for over a decade.
Until one single crack brought it all down.
Exactly. One betrayal.
Okay, let's start back in 2012. 30 years of marriage, and then poof, Azzouz disappears.
Vanishes.
And Radia.
Yeah.
She waits 2 full days before going to the police. 2 days. After 30 years together, that feels wrong, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It suggests something wasn't spontaneous. It hints at planning, maybe.
And her story to the police.
It was neat. Almost too neat. She said a man came to the house in a car asking for Azzouz for a job. Azzouz left with him, and that was it. Never came back.
A story that's basically impossible to trace.
Precisely. It plays on the idea that a busy contractor might just leave for work unexpectedly. The police looked, of course, extensively.
But found nothing.
Nothing concrete, no witnesses to this mystery man, no car description that led anywhere. The trail went cold, and eventually the investigation just stalled.
But Radia doesn't let it lie low. She keeps the story alive. And this next move, 2 years later in 2014, is really quite something.
Oh, absolutely. She contacts Muktafon.
Explain for our listeners why Muktafon is such a significant choice. This wasn't just a local news report.
No. Muktafon is huge in Morocco. It's a major national program about missing people, watched by practically everyone. It taps into deep social concerns.
So going on there.
It was a masterstroke, really. She appears on national television, children beside her looking devastated. She talks about her ruined life, sleepless nights, utter confusion. She sends this heartbreaking message directly to Azzouz, pleading for him to come home.
And the public reaction.
Massive sympathy. How could you not feel for this heartbroken wife and mother? It cemented her image as the suffering victim.
So it wasn't just about finding him, maybe. It was about managing perception.
You could certainly argue that. It effectively shielded her. Who's going to suspect the weeping woman the whole country just saw on TV? It deflected any potential suspicion, especially from local police who might have had lingering doubts. She controlled the narrative brilliantly.
Okay, let's jump forward. 6 years pass after Azzouz vanishes. It's 2018. The family's adjusted to this absence.
A grim new normal, perhaps?
And then another shock. Her son, Sherif, disappears. Just like that.
And Sherif was important. He'd been working in his father's old shop, basically keeping the family afloat financially after Azzouz went missing.
So his disappearance should have triggered major alarms, right? Another man gone from the same house.
You'd think so, but Radia had answers. Lots of them, actually, and they were, inconsistent.
What did she tell people?
It depended on who asked, it seems, and maybe when. Sometimes she told neighbors Sherif was working with his uncle over in Algeria.
Okay.
Other times she'd say, no, he went to Spain. Or even Libya.
Algeria, Spain, Libya, those are completely different places and situations. How did she keep that straight? Didn't the neighbors notice the contradictions?
Oh, they noticed. It definitely raised eyebrows. But Radia, she played the victim card again very effectively.
How so?
Eventually, she shifted the story. She started telling people Sherif had just abandoned them. She acted hurt, upset, saying she couldn't believe he'd leave knowing how much they needed him financially.
So she turns the suspicion onto Sherif himself. The missing person becomes the bad guy.
Exactly. It's clever in a chilling way. And when people suggested, shouldn't you report him missing to the police? She refused.
Why? What reason did she give?
She apparently said something like, what's the point? Look how useless they were trying to find Azzouz. She used the previous police failure as justification for inaction.
Wow. And did she eventually? Did she give them any closure?
Sort of. To quiet down the neighbors' concerns, she later claimed Sherif had called. Said he was safe, confirmed he was with his uncle in Algeria after all. Just enough to make the questions stop.
Okay, so first the husband, then the son. Both vanishings explained away one way or another. Then we get to 2021. 3 years after Sherif disappeared.
Yes. And this time, it's not a disappearance. Neighbors hear Radia screaming hysterically from the house.
And they find
Her daughter, Bassina, is dead, suddenly.
Bassina. She was the one who'd recently gotten married, right?
That's right. The wedding was even held in that same house. She was just staying with Radia temporarily, waiting for her husband, who was in Spain, to sort out residency paperwork so she could join him.
So what was Radia's explanation for her daughter's sudden death?
Suicide. She told everyone Bassina was depressed about a supposed divorce and had taken poison.
A divorce. But she was newly married, waiting to join her husband.
Exactly. And initially, the forensic report seemed to back up the poisoning part of the story. It was ruled a suicide.
But there's always a but in this story.
There is, and this is where the story really starts to fray. Bassina's husband hears about this, about the suicide and the divorce. He's adamant. He says he loved his wife. They were happy, looking forward to their life together. And crucially, he says they never divorced. There was no divorce.
So the entire premise for the suicide,
Right.
the depression over a divorce, was a lie.
According to the husband, yes, a complete fabrication. Just like the stories about Sherif. This contradiction, it casts a huge shadow back over everything else that happened in that house.
3 major tragedies. A missing husband, a missing son explained away with conflicting stories, and now a daughter dead by suicide under a false premise. All centered on Radia.
You have to think about the mental fortitude, the coldness required to live in that house day after day, walking over the spot, potentially, where your husband and son are buried while giving interviews, making up stories about abandonment, about suicide. It's difficult to comprehend.
Years go by again. The
Yeah.
community lives with this cloud of tragedy and these inconsistencies. Then, 2023, everything changes.
Suddenly, yes. Neighbors see police cars pull up, but they're not there to ask questions about a cold case. They're there to make an arrest.
They arrest Radia.
They arrest Radia.
What happened? What finally broke the case open after all this time?
The source of the information was, well, it was the ultimate betrayal. It was Radia's own brother.
Her brother. He went to the police.
Walked right in. And he told them his sister, Radia, had murdered her husband, Azzouz, years ago, and that she had buried him in the garage of the family home.
After keeping silent for over a decade. Why then? Why turn her in now?
That's a key question, and there seem to be 2 main theories swirling around. Theory 1, it was about money. Maybe a fight over inheritance, the property itself. He used the secret as leverage, or perhaps out of pure spite after a falling out.
A transactional betrayal.
Possibly. Theory 2 is, well, maybe conscience. The psychological weight of knowing, of possibly being involved, just became too much after all those years. He needed to confess for his own peace of mind.
Guilt or greed. Either way, he talked.
He talked, and he gave specifics. Enough for the police to get a warrant and start digging in the garage, exactly where he said to look.
So they arrest Radia, and they start excavating, fully expecting to find Azzouz's remains based on the brother's testimony.
That was the expectation. But the first discovery they made, it threw everyone for a loop.
What did they find?
They unearthed a skull, other skeletal remains. They sent them for forensic analysis. It wasn't Azzouz.
Not the husband, then who?
It was Sherif, her son. The son she claimed had abandoned them. The son who was supposedly working in Algeria or living in Spain.
My God. So she hadn't just lied about him leaving.
She'd killed him, buried him right there in the garage, under the family home, and lived there for 5 years, literally walking over his grave while telling neighbors he'd run off. The level of deception is just staggering.
But the brother had specifically mentioned Azzouz.
He had. So the police didn't stop digging after finding Sherif. They kept going, searching that same area in the garage.
And eventually?
Eventually, they found more remains deeper down, and this time, forensics confirmed it. It was Azzouz.
Both of them. Husband and son. Buried right there.
Yes. Faced with the bodies, the physical proof, and crucially, with her own brother's testimony against her. Radia's composure, that incredible 11-year facade, finally shattered.
Did she confess immediately?
Not quite. Initially, she denied everything, but the evidence was literally being dug up from under her feet. Confronted with the bodies and her brother's statement, she collapsed. And she confessed.
To both murders.
To everything.
And did her confession shed light on the brother's role? He knew where Azzouz was buried.
It did. She confirmed he wasn't just an informant after the fact. She stated that her brother had actually helped her kill and bury Azzouz, the first victim.
So the man who exposed her was also her accomplice in the original crime.
That's what her confession indicated. Which explains how he knew the precise location after all those years. He wasn't guessing. He knew because he was there.
This is It's almost unbelievable. But even with the confession, there are still huge gaps, aren't there?
Absolutely. Massive holes remain. We have the, what, 2 murders, possibly 3 deaths connected to her. We have the how buried in the garage, the likely poisoning of Bassima. But the why, that's still incredibly unclear.
We don't know why she killed Azzouz. After 30 years?
No clear motive has emerged. Was it financial, control, something else entirely? We just don't have a definitive answer from the available information.
And why Sherif? Her own son, the one supporting her financially? It seems counterintuitive.
It does. Again, the motive remains elusive. Was he getting suspicious? Did he discover something about his father? Or was it something else entirely?
And Bassima. The suicide. Given the husband's denial about the divorce, that whole situation looks deeply suspicious now, doesn't it?
Extremely suspicious. Was it another murder disguised as suicide? Radia confessed to the 2 murders, but the circumstances around Basma's death happening in that same house under Radia's roof with a demonstrably false narrative provided by Radia, it leaves a very dark question mark.
So we're looking at potentially 3 deaths over 9 years, orchestrated or covered up by one woman. 11 years of deception. How does someone maintain that? Go on national TV asking for sympathy 2 years after murdering her husband.
That's the core of it, isn't it? The reports often mention her devilish intelligence. It wasn't necessarily genius in the traditional sense, but an extraordinary capacity for cold calculation, for emotional manipulation, and for compartmentalizing her life.
Using the expected roles, grieving wife, worried mother as a shield.
Precisely. The lack of a clear, passionate motive like rage or jealousy points towards something colder. Maybe it was about control, property, finances. Decisions made with chilling detachment rather than in the heat of the moment. She weaponized social expectations.
This whole case just rips apart the idea of appearance versus reality, doesn't it? The comfortable family home in Martil hiding such horror.
It's a stark reminder. Radia wasn't just hiding bodies. She was actively performing grief, manipulating neighbors, police, even the entire country through television. She was destroying the victims' reputations too, Azzouz, the vanished husband, Sherif, the abandoning son.
And using her surviving family, her daughter CM, maybe Bassima's children too, as props in this long performance of victimhood. It's a betrayal on so many levels.
That's perhaps the most disturbing part. It wasn't just the violence, but the systematic, calculated destruction of memory and truth that followed. Which leaves us with that final, nagging question.
About the brother.
Yes. What was the absolute breaking point? After a decade of shared silence, complicity, living with that secret buried in the garage, what finally made him crack? Was it money, guilt, fear? What snapped inside him that made him decide to bring down his own sister, knowing it likely meant destroying his own life too? That's the secret that maybe still lies buried.